Hello, Dr. Langford. I hope you're doing well with this coronavirus and stuff. So I want to start off this presentation by discovering something that I discovered when researching for this paper. It was a magazine issue from a fraternity summer catalog, which is really interesting. I found it on Yale's website, and what's interesting about it is that it was labeled, "Is the saxophone a legitimate instrument?" Being a saxophonist, that made me just a little bit peeved that someone would try to discredit my instrument. And as reading the article, they primarily use the saxophone for the use of jazz. They didn't really say anything about the classical literature, which made me just an itsy bitsy upset. And I was like, well, this is a whole other side to the saxophone that I guess a lot of people who aren't music majors don't know about. Like, a lot of people don't look up Hindemith or Maslanka for saxophone, which is really sad because those are really good pieces. But I decided to go a little bit into the history and then later on a little bit into the actual way the saxophone is represented in society, which is a really interesting take I think you'll find really interesting towards the end of my essay. But saxophone was invented in the 1840s by Otto Sax, who was a son of a famous brass and woodwind inventor. So I find it really interesting that the saxophone was made so early and that not a whole bunch of literature was written until Bernard Haydn. I think there's probably about 2 or 3 professional pieces written for saxophone. But Bernard Haydn was one of the first that really took off. He wrote the sonata for saxophone, E flat, and piano in 1937. And fun thing is he actually studied under Hindemith, and you can really tell that his neoclassicism style transferred into Bernard Haydn's work. And this piece, sonata for saxophone in E flat and piano, was written for Larry Teal. Larry Teal and Bernard Haydn were very good friends. In fact, they almost lived together, I read at one point. And they actually performed this piece together a lot in the time that they toured and performed these pieces that they would write for each other. And Larry Teal, if you don't know, is a famous saxophone arpeggiist, famous saxophone, what's the word I'm looking for? Pedagogo. I can't speak. He wrote a lot of pedagogy for saxophone, and it's one of the most famous ones. Anyway, this piece has a lot of recurring themes that happen in each movement, and it is in the classical style of the sonata form, but the only thing that's different is the third movement actually has a slow, fast section. So instead of having a separate slow movement and then a whole different fast movement, he kind of mixes those two together, and he just brings back parts of themes from the first movement to the second movement to the third movement. And the excerpt that I'm going to be playing is the first few measures from the second movement, Vivace, and it's one of my favorite movements because it was really, really difficult to get it short and articulate. And I'm still kind of working on it because I'm going to perform this for my senior recital next semester, and hopefully I'm doing an okay job at it, but I'm going to go for it. Okay. So as you can see, there's a lot of legato, there's a lot of staccato, there's a lot of grace notes added into it that is actually written in the piece, which I found really cool, because in the original it was just kind of implied that you would do that, and there's in the original etude book you would just kind of see these little words, and I was recommend it for the performer, and it would say add this, add that, and I have an edition that actually just added those, so you don't have to just kind of remember or write it in yourself, which is pretty neat. But yeah, saxophones are a legitimate instrument. And that's the conclusion that I made for my essay after going through the analysis of mostly just the second movement because that's like the movement that I study and find most interesting. I did add some analysis for the first and third movement, and yeah, I think I'm pretty much done on the game. I hope you have a wonderful time. Bye.